So I'm joined today by Scott Shaftoe, who is a paraplanner at financial planning company Co-Navigate. So thanks so much for joining me today.
Hi Emma, great to be here today.
So the first question always is, what attracted you to a career in financial services?
Being totally honest with you, I
Please
don't
do.
I don't really know where it started. I've always been quite interested in finance,
Yeah.
and so I first went to university back in 2008. Perfect time for the credit crunch. So there wasn't many roles after that. So I sort of fell into a graduate scheme
Yeah.
with a supermarket and worked my way up there. So in reality, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And then by the time I sort of had this interest in finance, probably didn't necessarily know a route of how to get in there. So it's sort of
Yeah.
been there in the background in terms of being interested in managing your own finances and things like that, understanding how mortgages work, etc.,
Yeah.
and investments, but more from a personal level rather than actually what you'd want to do as your career, because
Yeah.
I didn't know a route in within that. So after that, I've worked with a retailer for nearly 20 years. You get to a point where you work your way up and become a store manager, and the income's quite good, etc. So it's hard to then sort of think about
Transition.
starting
Yeah.
off again, and understanding how you go about that. But it just got to a certain point where I was like, I'm 37 now. I need to do something different because I've got at least another 25 years working. I need to make it enjoyable and make it count.
Yeah.
So what am I going to do differently? Looking around, jobs on Indeed and things like that, thinking, what can I do? What skills have I got? Something came up with the Verve, through the Verve Foundation, in terms
Yeah.
of getting your qualifications for becoming a financial planner. So I ended up applying for that, and doing my level 4 diploma in financial planning. So I did that in my spare time. So Verve, absolutely brilliant. So supportive in terms of supporting you through that training, but also funding it. Just gave that route in terms of
Giving
getting
that
in there and
pathway.
and looking into it, which is something that I just never thought was possible. Once you start doing it, you start realizing how interested you are in it. So you started working towards it. You spend a lot of time listening to podcasts and things like that. And the more you look into it, the more you get interested within it. And then it got close to completing my final exam with that. And I thought, you know what it is, I need to take the punt, and I need to go into the industry. So I started applying for jobs within financial services, and this is where I currently am now.
Yeah. So in terms of what your journey's involved so far, so from going through the foundation and
Yep.
obviously ending up with Co-Navigate. So how did that kind of journey work out?
Really good. Like I say, I think the Verve were absolutely fantastic. They were not just also good in terms of like the funding side, but they did a lot of separate training. So they did training days going through certain things for the exams, etc. But then they were also quite supportive in terms of so Haley Rabbit, who heads it up, was really supportive in terms of talking about next steps and catch up, and understanding what you'd need to look at in terms of how you'll get into the financial service industry. So it was that little bit about setting you up and teeing you up. I have been very lucky in terms of getting a role very quickly within the financial services, because I know that's what we're sort of talking about today, but it is very hard getting in somewhere that you haven't necessarily got any experience of, and it's very hard to relate your experience. You think you've got a lot of transferable skills, and you've got them skills that will be able to transfer into the financial service industry, but it's how you sort of display that, and someone putting the trust in you to do that.
Yeah. So what would you say you found most rewarding in your financial services career so far?
I think the big thing's the clients. So I'm very lucky in the role I'm in, because I think paraplanning can be quite a varied role in terms of certain companies. You don't necessarily meet the clients.
In terms of whether you're client facing or not.
Yeah, so this would have been a smaller firm. The one of the things they like you to do is be in every meeting. So you're in the meeting, you're having the conversation with the clients, but you have a lot of client interaction before and after, etc.
Yeah.
So I think the client experience has probably been the most rewarding bit, because you sort of see that output from what the
Yeah,
work you've done,
makes it
sort of thing.
meaningful, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It makes it meaningful, and it's a lot easier to understand why someone wants to do something when you've had that conversation with them, you've been in the
Yeah,
meeting, etc. So you sort of understand the why, and then you can see it happen.
it's really valuable. Yeah. And what would you say you found the most challenging thing since you changed careers?
I think probably just working in a different environment. I've never worked in a desk-based environment because it's
Right.
always been shop floor focus, working shifts, working weekends. It's always been quite physical.
Yeah.
Where it's totally changing in terms of bits I probably didn't expect, which I probably should have. But understanding, for example, like Microsoft Word, Excel, and things like that, that's not necessarily specific to
Yeah.
this role. But if you've
Well,
never
yeah.
worked behind a desk on a computer before, it's
You
probably
wouldn't have
things.
needed to, would you?
Yeah, absolutely. So you've also got to learn that on top of the job.
Yeah. How did you go about gaining those sort of practical IT skills then?
I think a lot of it's a bit of trial and error as you go. I think in hindsight, I probably should have prepared myself a little bit more.
Yeah.
So I probably should have looked at doing a smaller course or researching a little bit before I ended up joining the company.
Yeah.
But it's probably been a bit of just asking questions. You know,
Learning as you go.
search engines are your friend and things like that. So sometimes
Yeah.
you just got to come out with the answer yourself, haven't you? Or ask the
Yeah.
right people, if that makes sense. So, but yeah, it's little bits that I probably didn't think I needed to look at. But when it got to the job, you knew that was going to benefit you.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to ask you next what advice you'd give to others who are looking at maybe changing careers. So perhaps
Yeah.
covered a little of that.
Yeah, so I think the first bit, training's vitally important for when you first start, especially if you've got no experience in the industry. But I think you can't underestimate the asking questions, because I think if you sit there
Yeah.
quietly and wait for things to come to you, you're not going to develop as quickly. And I think you've just got to get your head around the fact that there's no stupid questions. You've got to just ask the question. You
Yeah.
understand why something happens, and the more you understand why something happens, the quicker you understand it. So I think probably the first 4 to 6 weeks is probably asking questions is probably more important than the training, because you need to understand the theory behind the process before you understand the process, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's good advice. And so finally, what's next for you? What do you see in your future?
Fundamentally, I want to be a financial planner.
Yeah.
So that's the route I'm currently undertaking at the minute. So I'm doing the training towards that. That's where I've wanted to be from the start. I think the paraplanner role is probably a little bit unknown from if you don't work in financial services. So I think you haven't always necessarily got that desire to be a financial paraplanner, because you don't necessarily know what that entails, where you know what a financial planner does. So that's where it's always been with that. But actually, the skills that you've gained from doing a lot of the admin tasks in terms of doing the paraplanner role puts you in good stead for the future with that. And I think, yeah.
And also it highlights that there isn't great visibility of the different career roles within financial services, are they? Like you said, when you were looking to come in, you didn't know how to go about it, and I think that is changing, and there's some really good kind of, like you say, support out there now to kind of signpost you, but it is something I think we need to work on within the industry.
Absolutely. I think the idea outside the industry is probably that you need a degree of some kind within some sort of financial
discipline.
Yeah, that's the word. Yeah, you need something like that, where actually you don't. It's the specific qualifications. I don't think necessarily the qualifications. It's more theory behind it. I think the on the job working just puts you in absolute fantastic stead. So I think the big thing is, even if you want to be a financial advisor, etc., in the future, don't be frightened in terms of starting from the beginning, because it'll definitely support you in your development in the future.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. Well, thank you so much. It's been really interesting to speak to you, Scott, and best of luck with your moving towards becoming a financial planner.
Oh, thank you very much. Great talking with you today.